Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bill and Ammons Bogus Hangout. I'm going to have our guests introduce themselves. Zara, you start, please.
Hi. Yeah. Hi, I'm Zara Altair, and I write for the web.
Doc.
I'm Doc Sheldon of Intrinsic Value SEO and Deep SEO Conference.
Did you receive my form to speak at the conference?
I certainly did. Your name is in the hat, my friend. You're not getting off that easy.
Okay, good to hear. Thomas.
Tom Zickel, founder of Blueprint Marketing.
And I'm Bill Slosky of SEO by the Sea, and I'm the Director of SEO Research for Go Fish Digital. So we lost one group member before the show started already. Sometimes technical difficulties catch you when you don't expect them.
That's always Bill.
So did any of you catch the recent Google update that didn't go through?
No.
No, I missed it too.
I saw quite a few customer sites have an upward trend pretty quickly in the last 4 to 5 days, which was surprising to see across about 12 sites. Not to say that that's not, it could just be, a lot of other things.
Now, I remember back years ago when they had Google Dance and you had fluctuating rankings for a week or so while Google readjusted link rankings. And that was pretty annoying when that happened.
Absolutely, yeah. And then when pogo sticking started to happen more and more often, that was hope for the win sometimes.
I'm not sure what you mean by pogo sticking, but lots of people misuse that phrase.
I mean, when Google will like A/B test your site to go for #1 or the top, go for the top rank for example.com, and then after that, it'll go back down and they'll try a different domain or different URL, sorry, and see which one is better satisfies the user's query.
So Google, people tend to use the phrase pogo sticking to refer to going from the search results to one result and then back to search results to another result and back to search results and bouncing back and forth between the two.
Yep. Yeah. Like if you're at 5 and then you go up to 2 or 1.
No, it's a visitor bouncing back between search results and actual and seeing which results are what. Clicking the back button. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't heard it used that way. Wow. Okay. That makes sense too.
It's a way of visiting web pages, especially ones you don't really want to be at.
Yeah, you realize
say you search for Lincoln and you're actually looking for something about the car. And the first site you visit is about some president guy. And the second site you visit is about a place in North Dakota. So you go to each of those and you leave them quickly. And you go to the third one, it's about a town car. You've found your place.
Yep.
And you pogo sticked there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Definitely does.
So
is that working better now?
That works much better.
Yeah, I found the right setting to change.
Good. Yeah, it was way too light before.
Yeah.
We were struggling. People were speaking over you. Sarah kept on cutting you off. I don't know why she was doing that.
Sure, throws her under the bus.
So what do you think of Google updates, Terry?
I don't think there's been one for a long time. I think somebody doesn't know the difference between flux and an update. Just because the SERPs move around a lot does not mean there's an update.
if you've got a competitor who's doing SEO, you're going to lose rankings,
Well,
or they're going to lose rankings.
Well, think about it. Featured snippets appeared and disappeared, right? And then appeared again. That's going to cause a lot of flux in results. On top of that, they added passages, and they're still working out the new BERT algorithms and stuff. So you got to expect a lot of flux these days.
I'm still not convinced of the difference between passage rankings and featured snippets.
You don't think there's a difference?
I think that Danny Sullivan insists there's a difference, but I see him on Twitter one day and he's gone the next, and I'm not sure I agree with what he's saying about them.
I think internally, Bill, there's a difference to them, but you and I see the same freaking thing.
Well, I've been studying snippets and studying passages for years.
Right.
I need to have a really twisted mind to see the things they're saying.
But that's almost like the same thing as in the news, right? Technically indexed and practically indexed. Technically indexed is just another way to say supplemental, because they won't say that anymore.
Practically,
I agree. When you do a site search, and at the bottom of the list of results, it's less results than are on the domain that you're looking for. At the bottom of that list will be a link that says the rest of the pages from this site are similar to ones you've already seen. You can click here to make sure you see them all. And you click there and you're seeing what are possibly supplemental results.
like subdomains.
So they're practically indexed. They're just not technically indexed.
And that's where you can really get it mixed up easy, because the ones that you would think are practically indexed are the ones that are actually indexed. Technically indexed are technically indexed.
Okay, so they should use the word supplemental because we understand what that means.
But I don't think they
Instead
like to use that. Remember, they took it, first of all, they stopped telling you when there were supplementals. And then all of a sudden it was a dirty word. And I think this is just another way to say that's a supplemental index without saying supplemental.
Do you
remember a few years ago when you click on the catched copy of a page, and
Yes.
sometimes at the top of the catched copy you would say, the words you're searching for may not appear on this page at this time. They may only appear in anchor text pointing to the page.
That was like, 2.5, 3 years ago. Yeah.
I would not be
so
surprised.
that warning's
learn-
gone now.
I would not
Also-
be surprised to find out that they're ceasing to use the term supplemental might be being driven by their legal department, because there's so many questions that are being asked of them about how this business or that business suddenly disappeared. And I don't think they want to admit that there is another pocket of indexing. So that's, I think, why they've stopped using supplemental.
Yeah, but it was more about, I think, that SEOs became so obsessed with that they didn't want to talk about it anymore, because you can't do anything about it, right? It's
like they really
woman.
care what we
Once they
think,
make
Terry.
their mind, you're not changing it.
When did they start giving a damn what we thought as an industry?
Well,
though?
Really?
When they
When's that going
started
to happen?
telling us how to build websites, right? Think about it.
So there was a poll on Twitter recently that was asking if SEO has become easier or harder. And Search Engine Roundtable tells us that 60% of the people who took the poll are saying that SEO has become harder. What do y'all think? Harder or easier?
Different
it's
skill
changed.
set.
In some ways, it's become harder. In a lot of ways, it's become easier. But I think there are a lot more people coming into SEO that don't have much experience, and maybe they're viewing it as harder.
I think there were a lot of people who came to SEO at the beginning who didn't have much experience.
Right.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Nobody
Yeah, it's
comes
always
to
been that
SEO
way,
with
yeah.
experience. If they're lucky, they have some marketing.
It has changed. Some things have, they've taken away some visibility of some things, which has made some aspects more difficult. Even going as far back as the not discovered, we lost some valuable data there, but you find new ways to do things. So the folks that had no background whatsoever in technical, didn't know how to code anything, are going to find things more difficult because now Google is focusing more on some technical aspects to filter the sites. So, I can see it both ways. I think it's easier if you're going to color between the lines. If you're going to follow the guidelines, it is easier, but it is more difficult because, and by design on their part, to determine what it is they're really after. What are they trying to get us to do? Well, in a nutshell, they want us to make quality sites that fulfill the searcher's desires. But that doesn't tell us anything, does it? They want us to give all content. That doesn't tell us anything. But
so one of the first sites that I came across that was an SEO forum, I interrupted a argument between a couple of people on the perfect percentage of keyword density for a specific topic. And that was so ridiculous. I was like, these people are SEOs. They don't have a clue what they're talking about.
Back then, you put 3 words on the page because that was.
I mean, this was in the 20th century. This was like 1999, 1998.
Wow.
Well, but as recently as 2005, 6, 7, there were an awful lot of prominent SEOs saying that you had to have your main keyword in the first sentence of the first paragraph, the last sentence of the last paragraph, and once or twice in the middle of the content.
Yeah.
And there are people who are renowned SEO experts who are insisting that you use LSI keywords, which they're saying are the same thing as Watson natural language processing API terms. It's like, get a clue.
Yeah.
Well, when you think about it, the 2 guys who originally come up with LSI keywords was Danny Thies and Mr. Rhodes, and they both backed off that theory 10, 15 years ago.
They're stuck with a lot of people.
There are guys who have websites that call themselves LSI keywords, and they link to the Wikipedia definitions of LSI. And it's like, you guys have no clue that LSI has nothing to do with your linking to, and it is not an optimization method. It was originally an indexing method, which had nothing to do with SEO.
It was actually for databases.
It was for simple databases. It was patented by somebody at Bell Labs
and small databases at that.
Yeah. And it, because it was patented, Google couldn't use LSI. During the patent, it was patented in 1988. 1988. So Google couldn't use it. At least until 2008. They didn't start using it then. Somebody at Google invented probabilistic latent semantic indexing, which is based on statistics. And it's not a scalar vector machine approach to semantics. Most people who use LSI or refer to it or suggest it have no idea what the latent even means in latent semantic indexing.
Nope.
I think as far as the 60% thing is, the skill set is different. If you don't have technical skills now, you're not actually an SEO. You're a link builder. And that's a different category.
One of the fastest growing parts of SEO these days is schema, which updates every 3 months or so.
Which is technical too. And those are the future of SEO, right? It's not only big now, but it's the future. That's where it's going. So, if your job is only building links now and you're an SEO, your future is flipping burgers.
I don't disagree. I mean, I think if you just focus on one subject of it, like links or content, and that's all you can do, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're all very important things. But I think, yeah, like you said, the more it's just going to become more and more technical. And we're also going to get less data like we have from, remember when Google Analytics used to give us keywords? That was great. That made it harder when they took that away. But
yeah, but we have analytics, which if you are smart, you don't need keywords as much then. You have analytics.
Right. We still get
Right.
you get a lot more data in different ways now.
Yeah. It's always changing, and you can always get the data yourself.
Yep.
Right? Just you can figure it out.
Absolutely.
You know, certain pages getting a whole bunch of traffic, but it doesn't actually say the keywords. Well, it's pretty easy to figure out which keywords are driving that traffic. You have to think about it a little more, but it's not hard.
Oh, no, I agree.
It's
absolutely.
more work and more organization, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
The way a company goes about doing things plays a much bigger role in success than it did a few years ago,
I
where
agree
you
with
can
that
make
a
up
lot.
with it with automation.
I agree a lot. Yeah, very much with that. It used to be that companies would just pump out content. They'd give a quota, 4 pages a day to somebody, and they'd write about things not even relevant to the nightmare.
Well, it's all about links.
I think there were people doing SEO who were strictly formulaic. They were following lists. Okay, let's build them 10 blog posts today. Let's create 5 pages that are SEO'd. I mean, first company I worked for, first agency I worked for, was charging people per keyword.
Wow.
And they were charging per keyword per year. So we have a 4 keyword package or 5 keyword package. You would optimize 5 keywords for the price of 4. You would optimize 11 keywords for the price of 10. You would optimize 21 keywords for the price of 20. And I started doing the audits and I said, okay, this doesn't work, because a lot of times you've got to do global type things, which means rewriting more than just the text on one page.
Yeah.
You've got to change around anchor text. You've got to sometimes reclassify pages. Sometimes some pages aren't very valuable. You've got to either no index them or add more content to them.
Yep.
There were a lot of things that had nothing to do with adding or taking keywords away from specific pages.
Yeah.
And we're seeing more of that with things like increasing site speed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. There's so many variables that could make or break a page or make a page rank higher. It's almost, they say there's 200 different parts of the algorithm, but it feels like it's infinite, the amount of changes you can make.
There's so many things you can do with SEO these days that you couldn't do 15 years ago either, like featured snippets or
structured data,
and any of that stuff dealing with knowledge. People also ask questions.
Yep.
I mean, it's good to know where those come from.
It is. And I think tool sets have gotten better, but I mean, the amount of, I answer a lot of questions on Moz Q&A. I got to the top 10 on there, and so many people ask the same question. Will this tool SEO my site? What is
There
going
are
on?
a lot of tools that are red herrings. They mislead you. They
Yep.
provide information that's useless.
Yep.
Give me a spam score for my pages. So I read your definition of spam and I disagree. You're full of shit.
Thank goodness we have domain authority to bolster things, eh?
Right. So page authority, it's the same thing as page rank? I don't think so.
PageRank's infinitely more complex.
Well, you mean,
we can't
Bill,
see it.
you remember when everybody was touting how wonderful Alexa was for for rating your site?
Oh, Alexa, yeah.
And you could actually join Alexa, and you could become a member of Alexa. You could submit your site to Alexa. You could artificially
Make it
add
go.
the Alexa toolbar to your own browser, so that you influence the ranking of your own page because you keep on visiting your page.
Mm-hmm.
What a bogus metric.
I'm
You
pretty
ever-
sure
you ever
Alexa
get to-
still do.
You ever get the
Mhm.
feeling that you're cavorting about with a bunch of used car salesmen there?
Oh man. I think
I
one of the things that changed significantly, this is from my side because I don't do technical SEO, right? But one of the things that's changed significantly is the way that on the other side people search for things. So you think about the way people searched long ago, it was keywords. It was all sort of Boolean oriented, And now people do these searches, especially with like their mobile devices. They do real natural language
Voice
queries.
search.
Yeah.
I started moving away from the keyword focus in 2005,
Right.
and it's really helped.
Bert's been a
tremendously.
miracle for that as
Bert.
well.
Been wonderful for that. Yeah.
I remember when one of the search engines, I think it was Ask Jeeves, used to have a ticker of all the search terms. And it used to blow my mind how many of it was natural questions, like where's this, blah, blah, blah. Or they were questions, predominantly questions. I thought at the time it's because they think they're asking Jeeves. So it's in the form of a question. But it turns out that people do put a lot of questions into search engines.
It's like asking a human being a question.
Yes, they approach it the same way.
Very much so, yeah.
I had somebody in a group the other trying to say that if you type a question into Google like, what is the capital of Ohio? And if you don't put a question mark at the end of it, you won't get the right answer. What planet are you coming from, man?
Really? Oh, man.
Yeah,
Take me
Good
to your
Lord,
leader.
zero
Get
understanding
questions
of
whether
how
it's
Google
a
works.
question or not.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
They didn't test that one, huh?
So what
I guess
planet
not.
are you coming from? Question mark?
Would you like to see Elon Musk now?
And I suppose if you happen to be typing it from Mexico, you have to begin the sentence with an inverted question mark.
Right. Oh man.
I also think Gen Z, there's a difference between the way they search and like I think is different generations search a little bit differently. If you imagine growing up and never like having the internet be available your entire life. I mean, it's something none of us have experienced, but I think it must change your outlook in the way you search, give you
Yeah, you don't use Google.
Imagine using a device every day of your life that always is connected to the internet, is always on, and your Xbox works that way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Their children are going to be able to see their entire lives digitally.
Younger people use YouTube. They don't search on Google as much as older people. They want videos.
YouTube is really helpful too. It'll teach you how to change the handle on your 50-year-old door.
I find that when I want programming stuff, I go to YouTube rather than Google. Because the stuff on YouTube is better.
Yeah. If I have plumbing questions, I'll YouTube it.
Yeah.
And I'll get answers.
I had a tankless water heater, couldn't figure out how to clean it. YouTubed it 5 minutes later, knew how to do it.
Does you see the actual thing?
Yeah, they show you every little part you have to play with, and I mean, it's a picture's worth a million words in that situation, or a video.
Car repairs, any type of repairs.
Although, yeah, I mean, generally that's true. I know a couple of weeks ago I was searching some blacksmithing details and went to YouTube because all the above, and what I found was highly stylized stuff, with fire flames and then cling the hammer, and but there was no methodology, and I was looking for a certain sequence of events of how you
Well,
do things.
that was more showmanship than instructional.
It was showmanship, and I was very frustrated.
You may have needed to change the channel.
No, but I mean, my search results that's what happened with my search results on YouTube. There were several, and they were all stylized that way. Maybe it's just the way blacksmiths present themselves on YouTube.
I was searching for driving instruction type issues on YouTube and came across a bunch of videos that were really helpful. They had good suggestions and tips. I tried them out. They worked. Yeah. How to parallel park. It's really easy. I didn't know it was that easy.
Yeah, when they can show it to you. I mean, I know the way I learned is audio visual.
That really makes it easy.
What's that, Terry?
Buy a car that's autonomous, and you let it do that. I had a lot of trouble doing that.
Unfortunately, the driving tests in California say you cannot use that equipment in driving test.
Oh, you can't use that? Oh.
Can't use rear-facing cameras. Can't use the automatic parking. What's that?
So for the driving test in California, you have to do the old school eyeball test, pull up and
they're kind of brain dead. My doctors faxed materials to them twice. They haven't received the form. They may or may not. They need to receive the form by next Monday, or they may not let me take a driving test.
What?
It's craziness.
They are insisting that their fax machine never received forms that my doctor faxed to them. And it's like, what planet are you from?
DMV is the worst.
I'm going to fax another copy from Staples near me and do certification and write on the form that I'm certifying this. If you do not receive it, I will sue you in Superior Court of California.
Spoken like a one-time lawyer.
Because I have a right to sue them.
You do.
Oh my gosh, Bill taking on the DMV. That's amazing.
Oh, they're like City Hall. You never win that battle like that.
Yeah, I don't know, Bill. DMV.
I can't. There's too much stupid there.
There's a lot.
I get a phone call saying we did not receive your medical forms. I said, what do you mean? My doctor insisted she faxed them to you a second time. We did not receive them. Are you serious? Yes. I don't know what medical evaluation to make of you because your doctor didn't send that stuff to me.
If it impacts your life in a major way, like driving, that's a big deal.
Yeah, that is
my doctor doesn't lie about stuff being faxed from her office.
No.
Yeah, but how do you know that someone at the DMV didn't pick it up by mistake, realize it wasn't for them, and didn't know what to do with it, so put it in the garbage?
Because I told them who to send it in care of.
Oh.
The driver safety officer.
Oh, okay.
And it's been 2 or 3 now, right?
They've sent 2 forms to her, and they haven't received either one. I'm going to send another form through Staples today and then call her office immediately afterwards and ask them if they received it. And I'll have a certification in my hand saying it's been faxed to them.
All right.
Tell
I'm
them
sure-
to go down and make them eat it.
I may have to drive to Division of Motor Vehicles. I have till Monday to get it to them.
Right.
If they can't receive it, I'm gonna not be able to take my driving test.
It's insane.
It was faxed sometime after my doctor sent a copy of them to them on February 12th. My doctors faxed it to them twice.
Probably charged you twice for
Because they didn't send me a copy until they faxed it to them.
Wow.
It's a government. Never know. Incompetence rules.
That's for sure. That's very frustrating, Bill.
It is. If I've got to drive it to the DMV myself, I'll do that. But if you can't receive a fax,
Yeah.
something's really wrong with you.
It's a good plan, though, to make sure you send it certified. You'll know if their fax machine's operating, and that's
Something's really wrong if she's faxed it twice and it hasn't been received.
Correct.
DMV goes with incompetence. Like every DMV everywhere, I think, is kind of known for not doing the best job.
But they have the power to decide whether or not to issue you a driver's license.
It's a huge deal, yeah.
And they can restrict it. They can suspend it.
Yeah, it's if I were
Morons
in your
with
shoes, I'd be doing the
power.
same
That's
thing.
always a problem.
Yeah, it makes sense to send it in again and call them right up as soon as it gets sent and say, "Hey, check."
I'm going to
Don't
certify.
get it. It's there now.
I'm going to certify it, and then I'm going to call them immediately. I have my phone. I'll call them. If they're going to tell me it's not there, I'm going to fax it again.
Tell the guy, stay there. I'm faxing it right now.
They don't have an alternate submission method like email, which has been around for a couple of years.
No, the Division of Motor Vehicles doesn't believe in email. You might email them.
Yeah. all right.
Attachments, that's a rough one to do, an email.
An attachment is a security risk
Yeah.
Wow.
because it might be filled with a virus.
Yeah.
It's not like nobody's ever spammed fax.
That was the original spam. Electronic, anyhow.
You sound like you have fax machines and you get spam all the time. People would send people with fax machines menus of restaurants in their area. It was the original spam.
Got some hand turkey sent to me. But you can always figure out who sent it, though. That was the best part. They kind of give away who they are. Yeah, it's amazing that they don't have an upload on their site where you can actually upload secure documents, just encrypted documents, and have it go to the right person, and then it would be put in a link
FTP
format.
would be a very good
I had
anonymous FTP too.
I had to renew my driver's registration, and I did that completely online through the DMV. And they insisted that I send my copy of my smog test results, an image file, even though they received that electronically.
Wow.
Why did I have to send them an image copy, even though they received it electronically? I don't know. I think somebody killed their brain cells.
There's a lady, I live in such a small town. There's a lady that's there on Tuesdays and Thursdays for 2 hours a week. And she took a painting class during that time. And I tried to get my car registered, and they're like, yeah, she took a painting class. She's not going to be in for 2 weeks. Are you kidding me? Yeah, the DMV works in mysterious ways.
More like it's
unbelievably
mysterious how
frustrating.
the DMV gets any work done.
Yeah.
It is.
I find it incredibly hard to believe they didn't receive those faxes.
Oh, I'm sure they received them. I mean,
Oh,
unless the
yeah.
thing's out of paper or something, maybe if they received faxes after.
Lying in someone's garbage pail right now.
Yeah. Somebody
But
got.
if they're using that as their primary method of getting information, it's got to be checked often.
It's incredible they didn't receive that.
I wonder if you sent something to the department, like the head of the Department of Motor Vehicles. Sometimes on .gov sites you can find an email for somebody that like oversees the entire area or something like that.
I'm going to send the form, my doctor's form, to the governor.
Yeah.
Why bypass? Why use intermediary steps?
Be sure and copy somebody there in his office that can read it to him there, Bill.
If you do something like that, I've found in the past, sometimes it'll actually work. They'll kick it down to whoever the next person.
I had a stroke. I'm medically fine to drive. They're basing this on an ability to receive a fax from my doctor. My doctor's faxed it to them twice.
And the first one went through, right? There was one that
The first one went to the same phone number that the other doctor's form went to, that they evaluated me on.
so it does work. The fax number.
The fax number works.
Yeah.
They're the ones who provided me with the fax number.
Gosh.
I didn't make it up out of thin air.
Apparently you did, because it didn't arrive there.
I don't know. It definitely sounds like human error, incompetence to
Oh,
me.
you can bet on that.
It sounds like incompetence completely.
Yeah.
It's hard to fathom how it can be faxed to them twice and not received by them either time.
It's amazing you can't just walk in and hand it to them.
I think you can.
Yeah, if you don't mind waiting in line for an hour and a half to get from
I
the parking lot
say,
into the
I
inside of
think
the
maybe
building.
An hour and
maybe
a half
somewhere
to kill.
inside of San Diego, not an office near me. They'll receive it by hand.
Oh, to actually hand it in.
Oh, so the closest office is
at the
a ways
driver's
away.
safety office somewhere in San Diego, Frazee Road, San Diego.
I used to go to the DMV and
There's a DMV in San Marcos. There's a DMV in Oceanside.
yeah, and
Chula
there's one
Vista.
north of Oceanside, and that's where I used to go.
The San Marcos one.
No, San Marcos is inland, is north. It was like I'm blanking the name of the town, but you have to go up around the
Vista.
no, that's inland too. No, it's up on the coast. Keep going north.
There's a Palomar Air Force Base there.
Yeah, there's
Sort of.
you go past Pendleton, you go north. Just keep going up one.
Okay, that's outside of San Diego County.
Oh, it's so you have to be in San Diego. But I used to get my license stuff there, even though I lived in Carlsbad.
I don't know where you were going.
Yeah, I'll try and remember. Because there's one in the Oceanside, and that was a very frustrating place.
No, Doc Cardiff is a neighborhood of Encinitas. It's one of 5 neighborhoods that's part of Encinitas.
Yeah, but when I lived there, I lived like from your photos, I live blocks away from where you are.
Yeah.
So, but I can't remember the name of the town.
What really blows me away is I've recently had an issue where they wanted to see my passport, and first they said you need to come in and show your passport. I said, well, how about
Real
if I
ID?
just scan it? I'll scan it and email it to you. No, because we can't do that because those can be falsified. I said, and you think that the quality of an image from a fax machine, because they said, no, that could be falsified, but you can go someplace and have it faxed to us. I said, and you think that
Oh
I
my
can't
God.
falsify something and run it through a fax machine? You know,
No way
the
you could
quality
fake
of that
that.
image, you're going to spot that?
They couldn't
gonna
even
jump
probably
in my-
read it if they.
I'm going to jump in my car, drive 40 miles, and kill 2.5 hours at the border to show you my little blue book. No, I don't fucking think so. Yeah.
What was the reason for the passport? I mean, what was the theory behind
They-
it?
They wanted to see a federal picture ID, and
I
I
see.
was applying for a license, so they needed to see an
A
ID
real
that they
ID?
would accept. And no, that wasn't for a real ID. That was for a business license, and they were not willing to accept a driver's license.
Oh,
Because
okay.
they wanted to see because it was a federal license. They wanted to see my federal ID. But it's just, bureaucracy is just so much fun, especially when it's driven by ignorance.
It is. It's pretty crazy.
It's
Well, I
like
think
putting a
what
bunch of 70-year-old congressmen together to investigate Facebook. Half of them couldn't even spell it. Half of them couldn't spell it. The other half couldn't find it on the internet,
Some of those questions were amazing. It's like, I sent a message to so and so, and they didn't reply back. Why is that? That was an actual question.
I tweeted somebody, Mr. Zuckerberg, and I didn't get a proper response.
I don't have a whole lot of use for old Zuck, but I do have to give him credit for keeping a straight face much better than I could have.
Yeah, that must have been pretty hard. Like,
My snark would have run amok.
now they're going after Alphabet. They're going after everybody. Apple, Google,
Amazon,
Yeah. Doesn't seem like it's in their best interest to do it, but I don't know who would ever, if Google's a monopoly, which obviously it sort of is, but who's going to take over Bing? Like, who's going to compete? DuckDuckGo? I wish there were better company. There were other companies that were just as good.
Well, if Trump had gotten reelected, Yandex might have had a shot.
Of course, we'd all be dead, but so what?
Yeah, well.
Russian
You
search.
You go to Yandex and you type into the search bar, what is that mushroom-shaped cloud on the horizon? And read fast.
They made another robots.txt change, didn't they?
What's changed robots.txt?
Where they're talking about no indexing instead of using robots.txt to no follow.
So it's 20-year-old news.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but didn't they just update the documentation or something similar to that where it's very old news?
No, it's use a no index page, a no index meta tag on your page instead of robots.txt if you want to no index the page.
Right. Why did Google ever get rid of
if you want to stop people from crawling the page, you disallow the page in robots.txt. But if people link to the page you've disallowed,
still show up.
It's still going to get indexed.
Yep.
It's just going to say Google cannot show you the content of this page at this time because you're not crawling.
No meta description.
Just be the link and no description.
Bing does the same thing now, Bill.
Yeah.
Saw it the other day.
It's 20-plus-year-old news, and the fact that they're recycling it means they need more people at the news stations who know the news, who don't recycle shit.
Gary said that they got rid of the no index in robots.txt because too many people were breaking their sites or no indexing their sites mistakenly.
Gary said that?
You didn't want to use robots.txt and no index pages.
No,
Not too
never.
many cases. Yeah.
Like
The-
no
the-
index tags are terrible. Like I was surprised John said that Google takes those over robots text.
Oh, robots text tells you not to crawl a page. It doesn't tell you not to index a page. It's always been true.
Oh, okay. But they still don't put it in the index. That's been my
If people link to your not crawled page, it'll still be
They'll
indexed.
crawl it. Yeah, and index it.
so but if you
It'll-
put a no index page, they won't do it.
They won't crawl your no index page, but they learn about your no index meta tag by crawling your page.
Right. So if a link is to that page, right?
Yeah.
They will say they won't put that in the results.
They'll follow the link to your page. They'll crawl your page. They'll see the no index tag. They won't index the page.
And it won't be in the result.
Right.
It shouldn't be in the results.
Oh,
it should be
Same messages
practically indexed, not it should be practically indexed, not
okay,
technically
we're on
indexed.
that one, are we, Bill? Okay. In other words, like I never understood it because technically, right? I can show you an article that Alan Perkins wrote a long time ago. Not every search engine uses no index properly. They don't all treat it the same. So putting it in for Google could screw it up for other ones. Right? I'll dig it. It's a really old reference.
Putting no index in a robots file.
Right.
As
No,
opposed to
yeah. Putting using a no index tag, right?
On
Not
page.
all search engines understand them properly.
Are you talking about
Especially when you add in no
robots?
follow or no follow.
But Terry, are you talking about the meta property, or are you talking about the robot's text file?
The meta property.
Because if you use a meta robots, that should be uniform across all search engines.
That should be understood by all
It's
search
not,
engines.
though. It's not.
It's part of the W3C
Yeah.
listing. The
right.
HTML
And
the
right,
search,
and when a site
the search
is
engine
temporarily redirecting a page, they're supposed to use a 302 and a 301 when it's permanent. However, IIS server uses 302 across the board. It's not a proper implementation by the W3C, but Google obeys it. I'm just saying that not all search engines use that tag properly.
Well, neither do all site owners.
Well, that goes without saying, but I'm just saying it's risky using that tag.
A no index tag? Oh, yeah. You could do a lot of damage to a site or to
Well,
on the wrong page.
even if you did it properly and got the results you wanted, that's Google may see that that's fine for them, but I'm telling you, other search engines do have a problem with it.
prominent ones or
Yeah, I think it was Bing that had an issue with it in the past. I'll dig up the article and have it next week.
Okay.
I'm just telling you, these things, when they come from the past, you should take them into
I remember in
consideration.
robots.txt, only Google allowed no indexing through robots.txt up until 2018. Then they got rid of the ability to do that. But Bing didn't recognize that. I know.
Google added a lot of things to the robots.txt file that nobody else added,
Yeah.
like allowing URLs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very useful.
It's useful, but to me, a search engine should be following W3C. Period.
Okay,
Or it's not a search engine I would want to have any use for. It should be. I know they're not, but I'm saying
right.
it just doesn't make sense to me that any prominent search engine would say, we're going to take this global standard and totally ignore it. That's asinine.
They're not
So-
ignoring it.
So Google,
What they're doing is when they use allow, right? So for instance, I don't want anything in WordPress admin to be indexed. However, Google wants to see all the JavaScript and CSS that's in that part of the website. So how do you do that? You allow it to see just this JS.
for Googlebot.
You allow /WP admin /content.
Right. Oh no, I just use JS and CSS.
Yeah, the
because
Ajax
those
file.
are the only two files that Google cares about. JS and CSS, in order to say that they've indexed the whole page.
So you're allowing subfolders.
I'm allowing any page that has a JS or CSS extension.
Right. In
That
that
sounds
instance,
highly dangerous.
you're allowing subfolders.
It's not. That's better than allowing them to go into the WP
You're disallowing
admin.
the main folder, the WP admin. You're allowing subfolders within the WP admin by using allow.
You're allowing just
You
those
disallowed
just
WP
the
admin.
pages with the extension CSS
Right.
and J.
Ajax.
Right. You're allowing pages within the subfolder, CSS subfolder within the
But just
WP admin.
pages that have a CSS or JS extension.
And are you further limiting that to only allow Googlebot, or are you just allowing it period to
Any
anybody?
search engine.
Oh, fuck that.
Well, you can have separate lines for different search engines and different priorities.
Yeah.
Right,
Based
that's
on how
in
you organize
robots
them.
text doc, right? Which,
Yeah.
if for security reasons, if you're relying on just robot text to stop people from going where they shouldn't go,
That's not going to work. Yeah.
no, I'm not doing that. That's for sure.
Obviously, but I'm just
If-
saying
if-
that you
if-
can
if you-
disallow access to that WP admin file folder.
If
for
your
instance.
robots.txt is aimed at different search engines, and you're going to use parts of it that only for that search engine, like an allow tag, you only use the allow tag for the part that's about Google. You don't use the allow tag for the part that's about Bing.
Well, Google's the only one who's ever complained about it. I did it because they kept saying we won't accept these pages in the index because we can't access these files. And so I just allowed them access to those files in robot text because I had everything in WP admin blocked.
Well, I think that Google's gotten smarter about very, very common CMSs. I mean, if you look at Yoast robots.txt today, it's just disallow blank and then the sitemap. There's nothing in there. And
that's Yoast. I wouldn't use his shit. for
hardly a standard.
nothing but to wipe my.
I mean,
Right.
I'm not,
Google wants to know what your CSS and your JavaScript point at.
right.
They want to be
Absolutely.
able.
They don't trust a page unless all the things they're rendering they have access to.
So people make big problems with CDNs as well, where they don't actually redirect them properly, and they.
So if you use the old data highlighter tool that's supposed to add schema markup to your pages, and you don't have your JavaScript and your CSS allowed to be crawled, you potentially got a problem.
Yeah, no
It's,
schema
it's
problem.
not.
Won't
It's not
index
going
the
to.
page.
It's not going to capture the structure of your page.
In some cases, they won't add the page to.
Or it'll look like a broken CSS. It'll look the style sheet's a mess. There was an interesting thing about keeping, if your site's going to be offline for more than, 24 hours, that you need to have a static backup.
That's a fucking joke.
I don't
I had a
disagree.
site off for 3 weeks, 404 on every page. Soon as I had a connection again and put them back online, everything was right back to normal. Like they didn't stop sending traffic or anything.
I did have a site where we had a 301 redirect of one page, and we put that on the site so that it wouldn't show the other page, and Google continued to show the other page instead of the page being 301 redirected. and continue to show that for 9-10 months.
Wow.
And the client kept
Holy
on
shit.
asking us, we thought you were going to redirect that. And we said, Google works at their own speed.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Or for some reason, they didn't want to acknowledge the redirect right away. They might have thought it was a mistake.
Have no idea what they were thinking. They
Yeah.
weren't thinking.
That's what I mean. Like the practically and technically indexed. Are they really thinking about this?
So the customers was asking us to justify what Google was doing to them. We couldn't do that because we had no idea why Google was doing that.
Yeah, it's a shame you can't just call someone up, but it'd be, hey, Danny.
If anybody could call them up and get an answer, we wouldn't have jobs.
Right.
That's probably
Think
true.
about it. I like it when it's hard. It keeps you employed.
Very true.
The harder
Very
it got, the busier I got. That's the way.
Right.
I
We've
see it.
had to do things with knowledge panels. It's like car dealership has a knowledge panel. Great. They decide to show the service department in the knowledge panel. Google, companies trying to sell more cars. They don't care about showing the service department in the knowledge panel. Cut that shit out.
Yeah.
We
Just
had to give them feedback saying, right location, wrong office, wrong building.
You know
Oh, wow.
how easy that is.
Oh, they
to
were
do?
sending them to an actual separate address on the property.
It was a street. It was the service department on the same street, same location.
Oh gosh.
In the knowledge panel, they wanted to show the service department instead of the car dealership. The knowledge panel should have just been for the car dealership. So
Yeah.
we used the feedback. We were authorized users of the knowledge panel. We used the feedback, said, please show the car dealership. So they took about a week, then they changed it.
So the other day, I was checking a client out and I'm looking at, and it says on their GMB that they've been in business for 7 years. I thought, oh, no, that's not right. It's 30 years, 30 plus years, because I just changed that here. Someone had gone and changed that on the Google My Business listing from
Yikes.
30 plus years to 7 years. It's nonsense that anybody can go in and change
Yep.
a
Absolutely.
My
Well,
Business.
You're saying they
account.
did it. They did it with a request or what is it?
Anybody can go to
Anybody
any
can go in
GMB
and
and change anything on the profile they want.
Some of the thing, the what I read about it, some of the things, like for instance, if you try to change the street address or the phone number, they supposedly will contact the, email or send a notice to the GMB owner and say, this
Yeah.
suggested change, do you accept it? And if you
Right.
don't respond, they may just implement it. But
That-
apparently,
that's
if
happening,
it's
yeah.
stuff like operating hours, then they don't even necessarily contact you. It's only if it's critical, like basically NAP. If it's a business name change, address change, or phone number, then they're going to supposedly reach out to you. If it's something else on there, then they may
See-
just arbitrarily accept it. Now that is bullshit.
You could
Yeah.
be changing your competitors' phone numbers hypothetically.
Yeah.
For a little while until someone catches it. I've had
Wow.
people mess with an address by making a change to it. So it still said the same address, but it had suite numbers and stuff, and they screwed with that, and it came out wrong. So,
just because of the
And
NAP?
no update, no nothing.
Wow.
Right.
So they
Yeah,
actually added a change of address and no update.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That should not be available.
And
to
I went
anybody but the owner.
into one of my accounts, and because it's no longer in business, I just turned the account off. I didn't put this has gone out of business or whatever. It's still, even though I basically said delete this information, it's still in a knowledge panel.
So I moved my location of SEO by the Sea from
Right.
Cardiff to Carlsbad 3 years ago. And they put on top of the knowledge panel, this office has permanently closed. All I did was submit a change of address to them. I didn't close nothing. I found a way to call them, and I talked to somebody in India or China and insisted that the office was still open.
Wow.
And that they needed to remove the red tag saying it had permanently closed.
Gosh.
It took them a
Right.
week.
And then you start
but they
your
removed it.
verification process.
See, and I was
Yeah.
doing the opposite. I wanted to just remove the knowledge panel because it wasn't accurate anymore.
Yeah.
The
the
knowledge
difference.
panel was fine. The permanently closed part was completely wrong.
Yeah, that would hurt business a little, I would think, Bill.
You think they could verify that address change the way they verify the original account?
There's no
So
need to there's no
postcard
need
with
to
the
say
code.
permanently closed.
Yeah.
Maybe with all the COVID stuff, they went overboard and.
Well, that was before COVID.
Oh wow. Okay.
That was 3 years ago.
They shouldn't
Gosh.
allow anybody to just change those. They should be
Yeah, but
verified.
business owner like Bill should be
Just
able
like
to
you
move
verify a knowledge panel, you should have to do the same thing with.
I submitted
Google
I submitted a request for verification of the new address. I didn't close anything.
Right. You
Right.
did.
It was
probably
it was
more
it was
than-
nobody's business to close that knowledge panel, to put that sign up there. Somebody actually had to type permanently closed. I didn't.
Jeez.
It might have been tripped. I think that's something that happens as soon as you change the address. It says this.
Businesses move every day.
Yeah.
Right. I understand what you're saying, Bill, but who's to say that that's not how it happened? As soon as the address changes, that office is closed. Yeah,
But
it
the
is
old-
closed.
Well, the old address is still could be something could be
The
there.
business is still in business.
Right.
Yeah, it's the problem that says SEO by the Sea is closed. It's not the problem of the address really. It's that shouldn't say that the business is closed. It just say the address is updated to whatever that time, or it should keep the old address till it's
It should
verified.
say the old office is closed.
Yeah.
It shouldn't say this business is permanently closed.
See us at our new location.
Programmers
here.
programming solutions, right? He's
I hope you
looking at
enjoyed
that
your
and
vacation, Bill.
thinking that when an office address is changed, that office is permanently closed. And as a programmer, you don't want someone to have to go in and manually do that. Just saying that's how it may have happened.
You want it right. You don't want it wrong.
I agree, but there's a lot of things Google does that,
Because the best way would just be this
I
this
can tell you
location's
that
new
most
address
of their
is X.
tools are crap.
So
They
Bill,
send
when
me
you
messages from the search console saying that I have these mobile issues, right? And all I did was publish a new page. And they showed it as the image was wider than the view. Well, no, it's not, because it changes with the size of the device. It's responsive. And they said that there was an indexing issue for that reason. 3 days later, I did nothing about it. And 3 days later, I go into my thing and it's saying the errors are gone.
I've had that with a client a lot recently where it's been saying there's been mobile errors, something text too small, something like that. And then you'll do a mobile check with Google and it will say no errors. And then you'll validate it or run the index again. I don't know if it's a server hiccup or what's going on with it, but it's been happening quite a bit. And it immediately, like you said, it immediately validates and fixes.
However,
right
if
away.
you look at that text, I can tell you as an old guy, most web pages, I have to use a microphone, like a
I'm all
glass.
for 16 plus text.
This is on my desk permanently.
Hey, Terry, I got one too, buddy.
There you go. So I got a mobile device and a microphone and a glass, so I could read the print. I went in
got
and
one of these too
increased
for the really
size.
tiny ones. Yeah.
Well, these are our search tips of the day. We're at the top of the hour. Make sure you get your microphone next time you go browsing the web. Have a good day. Thank you. Take care now.
Bye all. Oh,
Zara's got one too. When you turn 60, they give you one as a gift.